Okay, so Sifu Steve, this is first of a few compare and contrast reviews. I find it a little bit easier to talk about stuff when comparing it to other stuff. So for this, we're going to compare the Generations Legends Swerve versus Maketoys, Maketoys, however you want to pronounce it, their version Trashtalk. On the right comes a part of Trashtalk and Cogwheel. So it's a good one because Swerve himself, he was quite bland until IDW made him like the pub landlord, turned him into quite a little character. He's become a bit of comic relief throughout the comics for a while, and as a result, people screaming out for a new iteration. It's a good one for compare and contrast because they're both inspired by that particular style. So it's not like one of them's IDW and the other one's based on G1. They're both fairly modern toys, and they're both based off of the same thing. So, good example. This is the eye gear version of Swerve, and he was pretty much around before IDW really went to town. And as you can see, he doesn't have any of the like the character. His head is like is a little bit different on it as well. I was kind of hoping that autofocus would kick in, but it blatantly didn't. Yeah, so you can see like he himself, he just doesn't have any of that character. He's quite clearly based on the G1 toy. But more on that later. Let's get that focus back in. Okay, so first things first, price point. On the left here, Swerve and Flanker, you can pick them up. I mean, you can pick them up relatively cheap now. Those big fears that he was going to get discontinued, the whole line was going to get discontinued. But Swerve and Flanker you can pick up for anywhere between $10 and $12 realistically, probably cheaper if you buy them in a bundle with Cosmos. So you're looking at about $12. On the flip side, this guy comes as part of a $70 box set, and then you have to pay something like an extra $13 or something for the My First Blaster if you can find it. All in all, when you work out that of that $70, it doesn't split straight down the middle between Trashtalk and Cogwheel. You get more peripherals like this little section here. You get that for the stuff, so it's probably about $40 plus the $13. All in all, you're looking at $12 for this toy, and then well, 10 to 12, and then $53 for this toy. So that's a massive jump in price. As a result, the expectation is going to be that this one's better. We'll see if that's the case. Right, so the key features, I suppose, the biggest thing that a lot of people talked about as soon as they saw these were the faces. Now, the faces themselves, we'll start with the proper Legends. If I zoom in on him. Right, so you can see he's got a lot of character. There's no doubt about it. He does have a lot of character. Looks very nice. He's got a smile on his face. However, this is where the first drama starts to come in for me. You can see on his chin there, you can see the little red bit. This is red plastic with blue for the eyes and then white on the face. And the white paint app on here is really thin, it's really watery, it just doesn't cover it properly, and it's accentuated by the fact that there's white plastic next to it. So although it's a nicely sculpted face, it looks the part, it just doesn't have that, it doesn't have the depth of colour on there. So let's move his head around a bit. So yeah, that's kind of the first point. Now take that and compare it to Trashtalk, and straight away you can see it's a similar sort of happy smiley, but he's got 3 levels on there. He's got the blue eyes, he's got a red cap, and it's all made out, as far as I can tell, it's made out of separate pieces. So this isn't just like paintwork covering it up. This is a well constructed head made out of several bits and pieces. As a result, I think you can see it's the same sort of idea, but you don't lose anything at all on that paint. Absolutely nothing at all. That head looks absolutely gleaming. Okay, so as we've brought up the face as the first one, this didn't occur to me till I've been messing around with this toy for a while. The actual Swerve head only has up and down. It doesn't have any lateral. don't think it's lateral. It doesn't have any rotation to left and right. There's none in there at all. It's not my imagination. If you take a look at the joint underneath, you can see that it is just a single piece of plastic on a hinge that goes up and down. As a result, he's severely limited with his pose. I'd like to have him looking outside, pretty much like I've got, like I have Trashtalk here, looking out to the side. So you kind of lose points for that. You haven't got that head swivel, whereas Trashtalk does have it. Now you have a drama with Trashtalk, and that is that in order to get to the head, to rotate that swivel around, you kind of have to remove the chest piece, because it's all encompassed, it's all housed around here. It's kind of hard to get to it. Stop pulling these things right up. So yeah, so you've got this you've got this like really good head, and it can be moved around as well. Now, to actually move it, the easiest way to do it is actually detach the hips, and then you can move it around, and then you can not detach the hips, detach the arms and shoulders, and put it back in again. And he can quite easily be moved around to sort of suit whatever pose it is that you need. And that's on a ball joint as well, so you've got up and down if you need it. And this kind of brings up the first really big difference. If I just take his gun away. Right, so we'll start with Swerve. Swerve, you've got a good ball joint up in the shoulders. You've got ball joint at the elbow, nothing on the hand. And you've got ball joint on the hip here, and you've got a bend at the knee. And we've already seen up and down on the head. And that's pretty much it. On here, they've just gone to town. So you got the, it's not a ball joint, it's actually, oh no, it is a ball joint. It's a ball joint with a hinge on there at the top. You've got this rotation here. You have movement in the wrist, which is important. The head we've already covered. The legs are just massively more posable. You've got rotation at the thigh. You've got bend on the knee. You've got the all-important ankle swivel. Again on a ball joint, so you can sort of pose him flat on the ground as much as you like, and you've got the hips as well. So I mean, you really do get what you pay for, and as he's such a characterful toy, the amount of posability you get is kind of a big deal, because you want to be able to grab those characterful poses, and you know, just a few little bends, a few little moves around here, just using the different swivels, and you can really go to town on what sort of poses you get out of him. Another nice point with Trashtalk as well is that a lot of these joints are ratcheted, and look, I've been playing this guy for ages, and these ratchets are still tight. It just helps the thing hold together a little bit better. Okay, let's put him down. Right, moving on to the guns. Starting off with Swerve. Okay. Flanker, this is his gun. He's in gun mode at the moment, and I'll be honest, I'm not a big fan of these little sort of like Minicon partner toys, so I don't really see the point. I'd rather the plastic and the money was saved on improving the actual Legends figure. I'm sure I'm not alone in this, that a lot of people get these toys and bin them and just give them normal guns or whatever. Not bin them, but just shelve them. However, saying that, Flanker's actually one of the better ones. He's technically, I suppose, he's a triple changer. Yeah, nice as a triple changer. If he was a Minicon, you could buy a bunch of Minicons and you wanted Minicons, then I'm sure he's quite a nice Minicon. However, as just a firearm, and that's all I really want him for. I didn't buy Swerve and Flanker for Flanker, I bought Swerve and Flanker for Swerve, so this is an added bonus. As I say, as a gun that doesn't look as top heavy as some of the others, it really is one of the better ones of the bunch. Nice barrels on the end of it, good detail, good colours, good applications. A lot of thought and care has gone into making this particular accessory, and it's not bad. It does the job. My first blaster, straight out the comic, totally unlicensed. Even has the writing on the side as well. It was a strange little kit. I didn't expect it to come as a kit with so many bits and pieces to glue together. But whichever way you look at it, however you want to paint this, however you want to look at this, it's just an awesome, awesome little toy. The fact that it's just so true to the original, it is something right out of Buck Rogers. It was supposed to be silly and over the top, and they've done a really, really good job of recreating that. So, backtracking just a little bit, one of the extras you get, whilst we were talking about faces, one of the extras you get with Trashtalk, this is like a sort of blown up eyes hanging out face, and that's, I think, from More Than Meets the Eye, IDW's More Than Meets the Eye comic, issue 12, I think, if my memory serves me correctly, where basically Swerve sticks his face in the end of a gun and says it's so heavy I can't even lift it or something, can't even get a grip on it, and then it blows up and he blows his face off, and this is pretty much what his face looks like afterwards. Again, in fact, here we go, just by way of comparison, I think I actually have a photo of that. So yeah, if we look at that eye hanging out and everything, and then look at the head that they've presented as a little sort of added bonus just for that photo, it is absolutely bang on. Okay, anyway, moving back to, so weapons. In the same sort of bracket as weapons, if you like, is this drinks tray. It's awesome. It's just a little bit of fun. It's just a peripheral, and all these things come off separately. They've all got the little, I think it's a 3mm peg. They all sit in there quite comfortably. You can take the cups out and they can hold them individually. I've got some fun pictures of B holding it. Again, because of this posability. Oh, I'll get to that in a minute. That's one of the negatives about Trashtalk. Okay, so I mean, just look at that. Just look at how characterful it is. Have a drink on me, buddy. I'm your pal. He's just so awesome, and this little peripheral, this tray and everything, just really sums it up very well. Does a lot for the character. Okay, before I go off too much more, I suppose one of the down points is that this is like a 3mm peg. Okay, so I suppose one of the down points is that the grip for Trashtalk is 3mm, whereas it's 5mm on Swerve. Now, there's not as many guns that you can put in his hands that are 3mm compared to the 5mm, but most of the 5mm ones are actually too big, so they just look a little bit silly. On the other hand, the 3mm ones, now this is a bit of a shame really, because some people just wanted the My First Blaster because, like I said, they didn't really want flanker, and the truth of the matter is it just doesn't sit, so you have to wrap some tape around the grip or something along those lines to try and make that sit. Nonetheless, it's not beyond redemption. Moving on then. Right, good example here of some of the limitations. If you look at the back of the legs on Swerve, totally hollow. Now, if you look at the back of the legs on Trashtalk, they would be totally hollow, like so, if it wasn't for the fact they'd put this extra rotation in to nullify that, and that just sort of tidies the legs up loads. It just highlights quite nicely what that extra money gets you, why you're paying through the nose for it. Well, it's third party, so you're always going to pay more, but you know, where's that money going? Well, it's going on to little stuff like that, little bits and pieces they didn't need to add, but they did because it does the job. Okay, a couple of the downsides. I've been obviously bigging up Trashtalk, but a couple of the downsides, I think the most immediate, I didn't clock it straight away, are these false wheels. That rotates, but this bit on the side doesn't. This part on the inside is a part of the arm mould. It's not a part of the wheel. It's not immediately obvious, but once you've seen it, you kind of wish you hadn't. It does the trick. I can see why they did it. They couldn't just put the full wheel on there because they need to have no support for the arm really. For what they wanted in this lateral movement out on the arm, they wouldn't have been able to supply that if they'd have put a full wheel on there. So I'm glad that they did it. It's just a little bit of a shame. And then, as already aptly demonstrated, these wrists, although they've got movement in them, have a very big tendency to pop off. It's a very small, tight ball joint, and it's very easy to lose that when you're rotating it, for that to pop out. It's not drama because it's still tight. It's not like it's loose. It's just very, very small and a little bit fiddly. And when you rotate the wrist, you can get some interference and it will pop off. Transformation. Okay, right. Starting with swerve. So you've got your normal transformation that feels quite familiar. So you sort of extend it out, and then just like the G1 figure, you fold his legs back in onto there to create the back of it. And that's a nice nod to it. That's sort of common transformation for any car mode. After that, it's all done very well. It's not like the back comes completely out. It all goes at an angle, so it doesn't deal in like finite moves, if you like. This is all degrees of interconnectability. It's not like fold it 90 degrees. This sort of sits at like 45 degrees, and quite quickly, as you can see here, he says quite comfortably, you can get yourself into the alt mode. Transformation's fun. It looks very reminiscent of the G1, and you can stick flanker in the top there, but I won't bother. Now on the flip side, we've got Trashtalk. Trashtalk, I'll zoom out a little bit here because I don't think we need that. Trashtalk, on the other hand, you've got to work a little bit harder to get your guy together, and again, you extend him out. As we mentioned earlier, you rotate these pieces out here, but then you make this very similar adjustments. You watch, I'm going to have to pause it because it's been so long since I transformed him. But classic sort of fold over onto the back of the legs. Like I said, something that you expect to see in a lot of Transformers, but that hollow was addressed by having the wheel rotate round in the back of the leg. So there's that much. The hands, I was a little bit worried with the hands. With the arms, because you fold these in quite tight, and then what you have to do is you have to push the arm down to shorten it. It's nice and loose now, but when I first started doing that, I wasn't convinced very well. It was a little bit tighter than it should have been. I've clearly missed a step here. I think this might be a pause time to come back. Yeah, I do it. Yeah, it wasn't that big a deal. It's just I folded the legs over too early. Before I fold those legs over, there's a little piece that gets rotated up. You see it here. Sits around on the hips, and then you rotate it up to bring it onto the sort of top canopy there. Once you've done that, then you can flick out these pieces. Then the legs can go over the top, and then the arms fit in very, very snugly on the bottom. Like so, he said confidently. And you can see straight away, this isn't looking very G1 at all, is it? No. This is looking much more like a Cybertronian, I don't know what you want to call it. Is it a drone? Is it like a little worker alt mode? Is it the sort of thing Swerve would have been before landing on Earth? I'm quite sure that it's in his alt modes in one of the issues. I'm quite sure I've seen it, and I can't entirely remember it. But there's no, for instance, this section on the front. Oh, that's just a wicked looking little vehicle. This section on the front here, if you can pop the canopy open, there's no seat in there. There's just like a little torch. You can kind of picture him as an excavator or something, going around an excavation team, and they dig something up and he rolls up to it and gives it a bit of a scan, turns around, off he goes. But yeah, it looks more like a moon buggy or something more functional like that. So yeah, that's the alt modes. But this is where the hugest difference is, I suppose. You've got a very G1-esque alt mode there, and then you've got what to me is more true to form Cybertronian mode there. To say that the robots at a glance look very, very close, this mode leagues apart. Yeah, I think they could have done with sticking an Autobot symbol, or at least on there some sort of paint apps, because that, again, it looks very, very bland. And you look at this guy, he's just absolutely covered in detail. I have put that Repro label on there myself. So yeah, in summary, what else is there left to say? You get what you pay for. Legends Swerve is absolutely phenomenal. He's a lovely one, much better than the first one, the first waves with the Prime, Megs, etc. Bumblebee. They were sort of fun, they were novel, but they've really put the effort in on the G1. The official Legends Swerve, and you can see it's been made with fans in mind. Go on, get in there. Oh, oops, my bad. There we go. Oh, look at him. He's mint. So yeah, I mean, a lot of thought's been put into this guy, but I would argue that even more thought and certainly more money has been put into Maketoys. I hadn't really got a lot of. I'm quite sure it's Maketoys. I hadn't really got a lot of their third-party stuff before getting him, and they've totally sold me on it. I'll get anything made by them now. I'm convinced that they are the way forward. One of the best third-party companies out there. I get a lot, as I say, I get a lot of third-party, and this guy is easily the best figure I have bought in a long time, probably since Terminus Hexatron, who again, amazing figure by Mastermind. It's hard to compare the two because he's so small and cute. I mean, it's just the whole thing just oozes detail. Check out, for instance, it looks. Right, let's zoom in here. Right, talking about paint apps. So you've got the sloppy paint app on this face that you can see that it looks pink because there's not enough white on there because the white's too thin. On here, his chest plate looks dirty. It's not dirty. That is a very, very light, subtle paint app. Put onto that grill to give it a little bit of depth. It's you don't tend to see stuff like this. It's like an ink wash, similar sort of concept, just fills in the gap. But just look at the detail it pulls out of that chest rig, and that's an afterthought. That's not something that they had to put in there, but it just shows you the level of detail that your money is paying for. Anyway, I digress. Two very nice figures. But by far and away, Trashtalk is the winner. I mean, it's not really a fair fight when he costs 4 times as much, but yeah, leagues ahead. Rant. Probably rambled enough. That's it. Stay tuned, and I'll see what else I can come up with. I think I'm going to compare Toy World's Brainstorm with Fans Project's Brainstorm next, so you can see the difference that the two companies have for their motivations. It'll be good because we're getting an official Hasbro one soon. I also want to do Roadbuster versus Fans Project's Revolver Core, and then yeah, maybe a few others. Just as a closing comment, Cogwheel. He's not a bad figure, is he? He's really not a bad figure, and you kind of get him as an added bonus. He's not nowhere near as good a gears as Trashtalk is, a Swerve, but yeah, he'll do. Anyway, Sifu Steve signing off. Laters.
Making your way in the world today takes everything you've got. Taking a break from all your worries, I'm sure would help a lot. Wouldn't you like to get away? All those nights when you got no lights, the check is in the mail, and your little angel hung the cat up by its tail, and your third fiance didn't show. Sometimes you wanna go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You wanna be where you can see our troubles are all the same. You wanna be where everybody knows your name. Roll out of bed, Mr. Coffee's dead. The morning's looking bright. And your shrink ran off to Europe and didn't even write. And your husband wants to be a girl. glad there's one place in the world where everybody knows your name.